estate we stood on, patted Millie's arm before coming forward to shake the group captain's hand. "Good show, Hammond. Do you need help stowing it?" Lord Hughes was still a handsome man, despite being a few years senior to my Aunt Millie. His grey hair was thick, and he was tall and lean, like his daughter Lillian, his love of the outdoors and sports giving him an air of ruddy good health. Lord Hughes's small white dog leaped around in circles before chasing over and flinging itself at Hammond's legs. He bent down and gave the creature a scratch behind the ears before finding a small stick to toss. Rascal took off after it, tongue flapping in the breeze. "No, your lordship, I'll just roll it into the barn for now. We'll probably need to refuel before we take her back up. Do you still want to go this afternoon?" Hughes nodded enthusiastically as the gentlemen walked around the aircraft, discussing logistics and the little plane. Lord Hughes and the group captain were long-standing acquaintances, and Hughes had invited the experienced flight instructor out to his estate for an exchange of sorts. Hammond would get an extended vacation in the country, and Hughes would pay for flight lessons. I removed my leather helmet and shook my auburn bob back out. It was almost a disappointment to be back on solid ground. I turned from the men and met Millie's continuing glare with a smile. There was no way to explain to my aunt how soaring in the sky was the precise opposite of the claustrophobia that had plagued me since my marriage. Much like there was no way for me to explain to her how terrible my marriage had been. "Shall we head back to the house?" Millie turned on her heel without answering, and I trotted to catch up with her. I could see my breath in the crisp morning air. For once, England favored us with pure blue skies, and the bright sunshine cut through the chill. Millie and I traveled the well-worn path between the house and the barn that housed several cars as well as the airplane I'd just landed. Lord Hughes had the Moth on an extended loan from one of the Royal Aero Clubs. Beside the makeshift garage sat the stables, which now housed only 2 horses, the rest of the herd having been sold off years ago. We approached the manor house, a large grey stone building, with a portico and white marble columns gracing the front entrance. It was a large and utterly imposing home, especially compared to the compact brick houses I was used to back in Boston. Coming from the rear of the building, Millie and I let ourselves into a small entrance off the kitchen, where there was an area to leave our long wool coats and scarves. I sat on a bench and pulled off the heavy boots that I borrowed from Lillian, as well as the thick wool socks, and changed back into my own flats. By the time I had finished, Millie had already disappeared down the hall. I decided to leave her to her mood instead of following her. I poked my head into the warm kitchen, where the smell of freshly baked bread scented the air. The large room had obviously once supported a much larger household and staff, but now was the sole domain of Martha Feddick. Lord Hughes had updated a few items to make Martha's work easier, including the plumbing system. A state-of-the-art stove stood to one side, the large stone fireplace gracing one wall now largely unused, and the racks of pots and pans hanging above the scarred wooden table shone with their newness. Martha looked up from her large pot bubbling on the stove and glanced at me. "In or out, Miss Jane? Doorposts are the devil, you know." I didn't know, but did as she said and stepped fully into the room. "Smells delicious in here, Martha." Now Martha beamed at me, red curls peeking out from beneath her sensible white cap. She was tall and thin, the opposite of what you would expect from such an excellent cook. Flour dusted the apron that covered her grey dress and was smeared across one pale cheek. She had been running Lord Hughes's household for years, and her clear skin and brisk manner made it impossible to tell if the woman was 35 or 50, or anywhere in between. And her vague accent, as well as her affinity for hearty stews, made me wonder where she originally hailed from. "You will have some for dinner, along with red stew. But for now there is still some food laid out in the breakfast room if you're hungry."